Next on the show, we have a seasoned real estate investor out of San Antonio, Texas. My guest, Melissa Johnson, has flipped over 1,000 properties and has built a large rental property portfolio. We're going to learn exactly how she did it and more coming up.
Welcome to the Wealth Through Real Estate Investing Podcast, your source for real-world strategies focused on creating long-term wealth, cash flow, and financial freedom through real estate. Through guidance, tips, and stories of highly successful real estate investors and thought leaders, we provide you the tools to succeed and to reach the lifestyle you always wanted. And now, your host, Dwaine Clarke.
Hello and welcome back to the Wealth Through Real Estate Investing Show. This is your host, Dwaine Clarke, and today we have Melissa Johnson. Melissa is the founder and CEO of HomeAid, a real estate investment company specializing in single-family homes, as well as the founder of E3 Coaching. Melissa, thank you so much for joining us on the show, and how you doing, my friend?
Good. Thank you for having me. I'm looking forward to this.
Yeah, absolutely. It was talking pre-show and kind of talk about our real passion and motivation of mindset and how we're able to kind of get, achieve many big things as you and your husband have done. But before we can kind of get into it, I know you have a really long track record of experience in real estate investing, but can you take us through your journey of how you guys get started and kind of what's your big focus right now?
Sure. So back in 2003, we were not dating. We were dating at the time. We weren't married yet. Just working at the job, living in the cubicle life, I guess. And my father-in-law at that time was flipping houses, and we saw this amazing life he was having and just got a little inspired by him and what he had been doing in his life, traveling. Every time we turned around, he was hopping in his RV and going somewhere, and he had all these rental properties and stuff. And it really opened my eyes to the possibility of what real estate can do for you. And, the job I had, I loved the people and everything. It was a good job. It was safe. It was secure, but it was boring. And, you reach a point in your life where you want more, and real estate seemed like a great opportunity to live a bigger life. And so we started pursuing that. We did that part-time for a few years. And actually about 2 weeks before we got married, he got laid off. And so that was a really scary time, but also it was kind of that push, I think, that we needed. We had already done several deals at that point, and we were experienced, and there was really no reason to stay at the job anymore other than just having that security blanket. Once that was kind of ripped off of us, then it was kind of like, all right, well, this is go time now. And we started going full time with that. He left first, obviously, because of the job situation. I lasted a little bit longer before I was just like, nope, this isn't fair. You're running around having fun. I want to have fun too. So quit the job and just dove headfirst into it and never looked back after that. And it's been a long and interesting and knowledge-filled journey. So, going from when we first started out, it was a lot of flipping houses. So it was a lot of rehabbing, like very heavy into rehabbing. We were buying a lot of rental properties. We were buying properties and creating notes on them. So doing seller financing. That was a big part of our strategy for many, many years. And then the market shifted. And we moved more into doing some more wholesaling, things like that. But up until like 2014, we had done it all on our own. So it was pretty crazy how long we waited before we actually realized that we needed help. So in 2014, we started a software company, and he decided to focus on that. I decided to focus on house flipping. But at that point, I knew that there was two of us before, but I knew I couldn't wear all those hats anymore. And so I focused on building a team and hiring a few people and documenting systems and process. And I feel like that is where the most growth and learning really started happening. I had never hired anyone in my life. I didn't know how to manage or lead people. I didn't know that systems and processes should be documented, things like that. So it's been a really good journey. Last year, we actually ended up getting divorced at the beginning of 2019. So we're not married anymore. But I'm continuing on with the house flipping, and it actually has led me into coaching other people in this business now, which I find I really have more of a passion for at this point. You know, after doing so many deals, I really love connecting with people and talking with them and digging into their business. And everything I do is just one-on-one with people. And I'm finding a lot of joy just being in that place right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And it definitely kind of, the people that's listening on this show are always trying to find ways to improve their businesses, and kind of like you resonated with me with systems. I'm really big into systems and making things, less chaotic, and, be able to build a team and be everything to be working in place. So that's really cool. Kind of have a couple questions regarding that, because you guys did so many transactions. It's like so much moving parts, and from marketing, and then the input of the seller leads, and going out into the appointments, and then the contract here, and then the rehab job, and managing the contractors. So it's like so much stuff that a lot of times will kind of fall apart. So you guys put it together. And as far as kind of like the amount of volume that you were doing, can you kind of take us through just like an example of like a system flow that was able for you to, go from A to Z, that allowed you and your team to, flourish so much in this business?
I think the real growth, like I said, came from hiring people. You can do a lot on your own, but you can do more with others, when we're all rowing together, right? And so it was really, it was a real turning point hiring people, because once we started laying out, I spent a lot of time documenting everything that we were doing, and it really made it easier to find people. I still was struggling with that part of it, hiring people, but at least I could hire people and they could do the job because the processes were documented. So that was important. But then once you nail all that down, that's when it really becomes a lot easier to scale things up. Because at that point, it's like, okay, well, I'm tracking my marketing, so I know how many leads are coming in. I know how much those leads are costing me. I know how we're converting. Once you can really dig into your numbers, and what's working and what's not working. And that's, another thing too, is just going through and evaluating your systems and processes periodically, just to make sure that you're being efficient. Because I'm all about being efficient. Like, I don't want to work 80 hours a week. I know there's like a lot of people out there and they're talking about hustling and grinding and stuff. I don't really have a desire for that, but that's just me. Everybody's different. And that's a lot of what I coach people to, is finding out what it is that you want. Like, the business has to fit your lifestyle. Don't do 100 deals a year just because you think you have to be successful. Define what is success for you, and then build your plan around that. Because successful for you might be 10 deals with like really high profit margins. That's where I like to play. I would rather do like 5 or 10 deals and make, 50, 60, 100K or something like that on those deals, versus hustling and crawling after, $2,000 deals.
Exactly. And then can you could take it to, because that you laid it out there perfectly, was kind of designing the business around what you want in life. And for me, I got 2 kids and a wife, and we like to have all these different things that we want to do. Can you kind of talk about the importance of, be able to set up your life where you can be able to have a family, run your business effectively, stay healthy, and do all the things that's very important to have a nice, fulfilling life?
For sure. One thing I realized pretty quickly is that in order to have a business that allows you to live that kind of life, you have to be able to delegate. And as entrepreneurs, we struggle with that, I think, a lot of times, because,
so hard.
right? It's like, no one can do it as good as I can. I find myself, and I hear clients telling me that too, well, I just did it myself because it's just quicker and easier. It's like, yeah, maybe it is for this moment, but now you've built yourself into a box and you've become the bottleneck for everything. And you can't walk away from stuff because you don't have anyone on your team that you're going to trust, to hand that over to. So I think there's a few things that go together. One is figuring out what you want for your life, but then also hiring the right people is important. Documenting your systems and processes is important. Evaluating those is important, and delegating those systems and processes, because it's all fine and good to document that. You need to, but if you're never comfortable delegating anything, that's kind of pointless. So you've got to have the right people in the right places doing the right things in order for you to be able to really kind of have that life that you want. And again, it's whatever you want it to be. You might not want to have a huge team of people. Some people, I have friends that have huge teams, they've got 30 people working for them, and then I've got others that they only need like a VA and like a salesperson, and they're running just fine. I'm running a really small team right now. So, and it's still working, and it's less work, it's less overhead. It's just, and I love automation too. I forgot that automation, like any tool or anything that I can use to make things easier, I'm about it.
Yeah, I like that. And you got to talk about, because you kind of learn by, trial by fire. You guys were doing so many different deals. You figure things out. You mentioned kind of documenting the whole process and sort of learning. And I'm pretty sure the way your business was, in the beginning is a lot more different than how it is now. Probably more lean or meaner and able to do a lot more things so you can live the lifestyle that you want. And you had talked about as far as your coaching, which is now like your biggest passion, to help others, to help them build their businesses and to maximize their lifestyle. Can you kind of talk about kind of your passion for coaching and mentoring and helping other females and other entrepreneurs get to hit their goals?
Sure. I think a big breakthrough for me came during COVID. It was like that time where everything was just really slowed down. And I think it was such a great opportunity. It was so challenging, but it was also, I'm choosing to see it as an opportunity because it really forced me to slow down. I remember my dad telling me all the time, he's like, you work too much, you're doing too much, you're always doing something, you're never still. And I was just like, whatever, I'm hustling, like I'm trying to do stuff. And then I don't know if it's like it comes with age and time and stuff like that, but I just felt okay with slowing down and stopping during that time, that quiet time during COVID, when everything was locked down, like nothing was happening. And so I really started, I do a lot of personal development. I like working on myself and trying to be better all the time, just for me. And one of the things that I realized was that I love real estate, but what I really love is talking with people about their real estate business. And so I was finding that people were reaching out and, they were like, I'm kind of stuck with something. And it was hard for me to take those calls before because I was so busy all the time. And I never want to be that person that's too busy to help somebody out. I had a talk with my ex-sister-in-law about this just the other day. I love her and she flips houses too. And she's like, well, you seem like you're always so busy. And I said, I'm never too busy for you. But I hate that people would even think that because I don't want to be that person. And so thinking about that and like taking that quiet time and taking those calls from people and really being able to spend time with them made me realize I really love this. I really enjoy just talking to people. And I think part of it is because I have implementation issues. Like I have a million great ideas, but when it comes time to do something, it's like, do I really want to do that? You have to pick and choose. You have to figure out what's your best yes for things. You can't do all the things.
That's true.
And the coaching just seemed like such a good fit for me and such a good transition. And I'm so grateful for all the years I spent learning and being in the trenches doing real estate and going from just doing it alone to doing it with a team to like trimming it all back again and cutting it all back and trying to be more efficient about everything. Just feel like I learned so much that I want to share with people because a lot of people that I talk to, they are spending so much time doing, educating themselves and joining masterminds and doing all this stuff. And I think those things are great, but then there's like a disconnect there between that and actually taking action on stuff. And so what I felt like was happening was they need a bridge between what they're learning. They're just drinking from the hose, all this stuff, but then they don't know what they don't know. And they don't know what things to implement or, what they should be implementing or not implementing. And, they end up doing the same thing we all do, is chasing like 500 different shiny objects all over the place. Exactly. Instead of really honing in on just a few things. And so that's where I feel like I can really help people. And that's what I really enjoy, is helping them focus, helping them figure out their why, and then building a plan of how to get there.
Yeah, that's definitely key, the big why. And I also noticed that you had a podcast where you kind of have a lot of guests who are kind of sharing stories that kind of inspire people to, help them kind of, find out what their why is so they can go pursue it. And of course, talk to you to kind of put the pieces together so they can, make an actionable game plan. Can you kind of talk about your podcast, some things that you talk about it that help other rising entrepreneurs?
Sure. So my podcast is just a baby still. We're still working on, figuring that out. But that was something that I wanted to do just because it gives me the opportunity to talk to other people and to share on a larger scale. I know group coaching is great, but I love the one-on-one, but I feel like doing the podcast helps me do sort of a one-on-one, but also other people that are listening have the opportunity to hear other people, maybe they identify with some of the struggles that these people that I'm talking to are going through also. And so I can help not only the guest, but maybe somebody that's listening with the same problem. And so what I like to do is sort of mix up the guests that I've been bringing on. So I'll bring in, like somebody that's really high level, that's been doing it for a really long time, and maybe just pick their brain for their experiences and things like that. But then I also like to just mix in ordinary people too that are doing this business, because, you just get stuck sometimes. And I like to walk them through the problem. So I actually have them come to me like, let's figure out something that you want to work on in your business, and let's do this live. Let's talk it through. Let's come up with some ideas and brainstorm. And so I'm trying to mix it up like that and hopefully provide experience from other people, but then also like real time, real life, like people who are in this right now, like just getting started.
Yeah, I like that format a lot, because I think it's going to, really reach those people that are like, oh, I really feel that that's where I am right now. And then you kind of walk them through the process while mixing it in with other experts so they can also learn and educate themselves as well. So that's awesome. Can you kind of take us through I always have this section in the interview as far as kind of learn more, on the personal development side. Can you kind of take us through like a typical work day for you, and do you have any special morning routines?
That's one of those things I feel like I struggled with. I was really great up until the divorce, and then like everything sort of fell apart for a little bit. And I'm just getting back into a routine. It was really hard to be in a routine with COVID. I've got kids also. I have 5 kids. 3 of them are out of the house. So one's married. I have twins that are in college, and then I got 2 still at home. And so the routine was really tough at first, right? Because it was so tempting, just like, well, we may as well just sleep in and, stuff like that. So that was a little rough at first, I won't lie. But, and I did slip quite a bit off of my routine, because before it was every day, it was like meditation, journaling, exercise, drinking lots of water, things like that. And I got kind of bad, but I think you reach that point where you just get sick of yourself and your own stuff. It's like, okay, this is not good. Like, we really need to get some structure back in here. And so, but I did end up changing some things about my routine. So before, I was like really regimented with the time and things like that. Like, okay, I got to get up. I'm going to take the kids to school at this time. Then I'm going to go to boot camp, and then I'm going to meditate, and then I'm going to stretch, and then I got to take a shower, and then like all the stuff,
Check. Yeah.
Yeah. Check. And what I found was that I don't really like that sort of routine based on time. What I have found that's worked best for me is that I have a routine, but it's the same things I do every day, but I do them at whatever time, like whenever I have time to do it. So it's more about the things that I'm doing versus when I'm doing them. Because I think it was an interesting time to really be reflective. And what I found was that I like getting up when my body wants to get up. First of all, I found like I had more energy. And then I think if you can realize like when are the optimal times of day for you, right? Because you have some people that are like morning people, and they have a lot of energy in the morning, and they're really focused in the morning. And then there's other people that get more energy, in the evening and stuff. And I think if you know that about yourself and you can tailor your work schedule to that, like your natural body rhythms, it just feels a lot easier. It doesn't feel like I felt like I was always struggling, trying to keep these time blocks, because everyone says if you're not a successful person, unless you get up at 5 o'clock every morning and, do all these things. It's like, I don't like that. But that doesn't mean I'm not a successful person, because I don't want to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning. I don't want to sleep till noon either. But
Mm-hmm.
I want to get up when I want to get up, and there are certain things that I need to do each day that I know are good for me, and I want to do those when I have the time to do them.
Yeah, that's a really good point. You just got to listen to your body, and of course, everyone has like different family dynamics, and everyone has different businesses or different vocations, so you kind of have to make it work. But the biggest point you were saying, like you have your tasks of things or your routine list that you're gonna get done, and get them done when it's appropriate for you, so you can kind of maximize your life. Because I don't have the experience of 5 kids. I do have 2 kids, and sometimes they wake up at 4 with me. Sometimes they sleep in, and I can't really estimate whenever that is. So I have to kind of adjust, but still, in order to hit my goals, I still have to kind of find a way to get it through. So that's some really great advice there.
Exactly. And that's
Absolutely.
one I hear a lot too from other moms. They're like, how do you do it? How do you do all these things? It's like,
Mm-hmm.
because I don't force myself to do stuff, because you're just going to let yourself down if you can't do something. Then you feel bad, like, oh, I didn't make it to my workout class, but you still have the whole day. So maybe you can go to
Right.
one in the evening or something. It doesn't
Mm-hmm.
make it wrong, that you're doing it later in the day. Like, just
Mm-hmm.
know when are your, like, what are your time blocks? And especially when you have kids, like, I know my kids are going to be at school. I know we're done with all the drop off and stuff by 8:15 in the morning. So I know from 8:15 till 3:15 in the afternoon, that's when I need to be productive. And I
Mm-hmm.
know that I'm way more productive like around 10. So I can spend those couple of hours in the morning doing my workout, doing my meditation, things like that, and then start working later. And I prefer to work later into the day.
Mm-hmm. And especially good that, because it's kind of leading into my next question, is about kind of systems and tools which you have over the course of 15 years put together, which allows you to be able to have this flexibility to do things when it's appropriate in your time frame. So you kind of take us through kind of some of, I know you use a lot of them, but some of the top three, I would say 3 or 4, that really help you and your team get the day really organized and more productive.
Sure. I think for me,